This is part 13 of Link tutorial. In this video, we'll discuss implementing paging using skip and take link operators. Let's understand this with an example. Let's flip to Visual Studio. Here I have a new console application. All I have done so far is created the student class with these three properties: student ID, name, and total marks. In addition to these three properties, we also have the static method getAllStudents, which returns list of student objects. And if you look at the implementation, within the method we have created a variable of type list of student, and this list at the moment contains 11 student objects, and finally the method returns that list back. All the students that are present within this list are represented here. Notice the student IDs, they start from 101 and go all the way till 111. So there are 11 students. Now what we want to do is design a console application and then display these students in pages. For example, the program should prompt the user to enter a page number. Now if you look at the total number of records here, we have 11 records. Now let's say we want to display 3 students per page. Now since we have 11 students, there will be a maximum of 4 pages. On the fourth page, we will have just 2 students displayed. So the program should prompt the user to enter a valid page number between 1 and 4. Now if the end user enters a valid page number, then the program should display the correct set of records. Now here, since we entered 1 on the first page, we are going to have records from 101 to 103, and notice that they are displayed. And then the program should immediately again prompt the user to enter page number between 1 to 4. Now here, notice that the end user has entered number 10. Now do we have 10 pages? No, we don't. So that's not a valid page number. So if that's the case, the program should display a message stating page number must be an integer between 1 and 4. And then again it should prompt the user to enter the page number. Let's say, for example, the end user has entered some input that is not an integer, for example ABC. Now that's not a valid page number either, so even in that case we should display a message stating page number must be an integer between 1 and 4. Now here, notice that end user has entered 3, so on the third page we are displaying records from 107 to 109. So let's see how to achieve this using skip and take link operators. So let's flip to Visual Studio and within the main method. So first what we want to do is create a variable of type IEnumerable of student, and then let's call this students, and then we'll make use of our student class and then invoke this getAllStudent static method, which is going to return us all the students. So this collection right here should now have 11 students. Now what we want to do is prompt the user to enter a valid page number. So console.writeLine, we will print this message to the console screen: please enter page number that's between 1, 2, 3 or 4. And then what we are going to do here is create a variable of type integer. Let's call it page number and let's initialize that to 0. So now the user is going to enter the page number on the console screen, so we need to read that from the console. So let's use console.readLine. Now that will be read as a string, so we need to convert that to an integer. Now what I'm going to do is actually use try_parse method. So try parsing the string that we have read from the console. If the parsing is successful, then store the result in page number variable. So this parameter is going to receive the integer that the end user has entered. And if you look at what this method returns, it returns true or false. So if the parsing is successful, that means the end user has entered a valid integer, in which case we should display the correct set of student records on the console. Else, if it's not a valid integer, then what we want to do is display an error message to the end user. And what we want to display is this message: page number must be between an integer between 1 and 4. Alright, so here, if it comes into the if block, we know that the end user has entered a valid integer, but we need to ensure that integer falls between 1 and 4. So if page number is greater than or equal to 1 and page number less than or equal to 4, if that condition is true, then we should display the correct set of student records, else again we should display the same message. So let's copy and paste it right here. Alright, now let's specify our page size. So let's set page size first to 3 because we want to display 3 records per page. So now we have page number, we have page size, so we should retrieve the correct set of records from this collection. So how do we do that? We should do that by using skip and take methods. So students dot skip. So now let's say, for example, if the end user has entered page 1, then we should display the first set of 3 records, right? 1 to 3, 101 to 103. Now for that we shouldn't skip any records, right? Any rows. So what we are going to do to achieve that is take the page number, subtract -1, and then multiply that with page size. So that is the number of rows that we want to skip, right? So page number, if the end user enters 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. 0 into 3 is going to return 0. So if the page number is 1, then we want to skip 0 items. And then take, how many items we want to take? 3 items, which is nothing but our page size. That's it. And what is this method going to return? It's going to return I enumerable of student. So let's use a variable of that type and store the result in a variable called result. Now all that is left is to print whatever records or whatever objects we have in this result variable. So before that, let's actually print an empty line, and then we also want to print a message stating which page we are showing to the user currently. So let's say displaying page, whatever is the page number, and then we are going to use a for each loop. So for each student, let's call it as in result collection. What we want to do is display student ID, and then let's display a tab space using \t escape sequence, and then student name, and then student total marks. Alright. Okay, so when we actually run this, let's also print another empty line here. Now when we actually run this, the program prompts the user to enter a page number. Now look at this, when I enter page number 1, we get the first set of records from 101 to 103, and then the program terminates, right? Now let's actually put this program in an infinite loop so that we can enter as many page numbers as we want. So let's use a do while loop here. So we want to do all this, whatever we have written so far, while 1 equals 1. This means this loop is never going to end. So the program will be in an infinite loop. So if we want to end the program, we have to close the console window. The program is now in an infinite loop because of this condition, because this condition is never going to become false. In reality, if you want to end the program, you may ask the user a question: do you want to stop the program, yes or no? If he enters yes, then you may stop the program. Right, now please enter a page number. Let's enter, for example, 10. That's not a valid page number, so it says page number must be an integer between 1 and 4. Please enter page number. Let's enter ABC. Again we get the same error. Now let's enter a valid page number, number 1. So it should display the first set of records from 101 to 103. If I enter page number 3, then it should display records from 107 to 109. If I enter the last page, then on the last page we only have 2 records. Right? If I enter second page, then it should display records from 104 to 106. So we have just implemented paging using skip and take link operators. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.